Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Happiness is Real morning show. My name is Camilla Calberg. I'm the founder of Calberg Coaching and transformational coach. This episode is brought to you by Calberg Coaching, where we help executives find a better life on the other side of divorce. To learn more and book a discovery conversation, go to www.calbergcoaching.com. And now let's go into today's episode. I am so excited to bring the topic about how a toxic relationship unconsciously affects how you show up in the role as a mom, and that's as a mom, and how a toxic relationship and that is a bad communication and relationship in general, how that affects children. I so much want to talk about that because if you followed me for a while, you know how important children is to me, because I've been experiencing the effect of a toxic relationship on children. And I want to create an awareness about how a toxic and unhealthy relationship affect our children during any major life transformation as a divorce, or like a divorce. So with no further ado, let's get started. The reason why I bring this up, the a toxic family environment from the eyes of your children, is that I was stuck in an unhealthy relationship for several years, and what I'm going to talk about right now, I hear and I see those patterns in my clients, and that's why I bring it up. When I was stuck in this toxic relationship, I was very judgmental. If my coach Rita is listening to this, Rita, we did an ELI that was so like shining through how judgmental I was. I was very angry. I was very defensive. I felt very sad. I didn't feel hopeless, but I felt hopeless. And in one way, yes, I did feel hopeless. I felt hopeless in my relationship, in my life. Like, why couldn't I get my family to operate or work at the way I really decided to be? And I felt a victim. And when it was, you kind of get used to living in a environment that doesn't support you, and you try to cope. And it was really interesting. I'm going to have Rita on stage at some point later. But I had an amazing conversation with Rita. And if you listen to this right now, welcome. We talked about being a victim of the relationship, any relationship that you are in, if you don't take the conscious decision to break free. And I was stuck in this relationship of mine, my intimate relationship. And I made that king. I made it really, I cannot break free. And I don't know if this resonates to you, but I was so captivated in that I can't break free from this relationship. So I just have to find a way to navigate. And when clients join me, we do an energy leadership index assessment. And those who have been in the coaching world for a while, ELI, you know what that is. Though who don't know that, it's really about measuring what level of energy you radiate right now, and what energy you wipe on, and you thrive on when you are in your happy state. And it was very, very clear that I was struggling, and I was struggling in my intimate relationship. And I was so angry. I was so fierce about it all. And I couldn't really find happiness, which is very, that happiness is so real. But what I didn't understand when being captivated, being a victim in my relationship, was that how it affected my child, my daughter Elizabeth Sophia. I came to a point where I couldn't cope more in this space. So the way my body told me, and I was quite fast in understanding that I had to do something, but the way my body signaled, like, Camilla, now it's enough. Now enough is enough. It was that I started to have so much migraine. So how do you get so much migraine? I started to suffer from migraine. Never before suffered from migraine. And I had to realize, okay, what's going on? And I then decided, so okay, it's time to to break free from the relationship that I once considered as a king and once considered as the norm for me. But it's not the norm for me. I can create many new norms, right? And this is what I didn't know, and that's what I'm so much sharing with you now, is that what you radiate right now, when you radiate, what energy do you show up, or what energy do you vibe on, and not vibe on, what energy do you vibrate on? Are you aggressive? Are you sad? Do you feel hopeless? Do you feel lonely? It's a spoken and the non-spoken communication that matters, right? And so you are one whole being. So when I suffered the most, you can just imagine how I also was able to take best care of my daughter. Not really well, right? Not really as I wanted to do. I wanted to give her the unconditional love, and just be with her and support her. And what I did is I really supported her, but I also protected her from the verbal abuse that we received in my family, at my home. Though, also know is that, um, when you don't have a good communication with your partner, all right, that goes straight to your daughter's or your son's heart and soul and mind. And you don't know that. You don't know that unless you have reached out to a child psychologist for help. You don't know that. And so I got to learn that very late on in the process. And that's why I'm sharing it, is that, when, and you just know, if you visit friends and your friends, they have an argument, is it nice to be in that environment, or is it not? It's not nice to be there. And so it's the same with your children. But the thing is that when you visit your friends, you can leave. Your child cannot leave. And that affects how they consider themselves, how happy they are, the inside out, right? Happiness comes from the in. It affects how they show up in kindergarten. It affects how they can cope in school. And I can feel my body reacts right now, is that this is so important. And I go live with, I hope for you too, life transforming tools and advice. Nobody told me, but I don't know, like, you have to learn it yourself, right? And then you learn from someone who's been in this situation, like, for example, myself and my guest tomorrow, this Pina, is that you really have to be conscious of how your family environment is. Because if it's not healthy, if it's not filled with love, peace, harmony, it's time to leave. It's time to leave, for yourself, for your own health, but also for the health of your children. The reason why this is so important to me is that I very late discovered that my daughter was suffering from the toxic environment. And here, when I talk to potential clients, and I talk so much about verbal abuse, because I did receive verbal abuse, but toxic environment is not a healthy environment. And there are, unfortunately, so many relationships, intimate relationships, where there is lack of respect. And that is, in the eyes of from me as a transformational coach, a toxic relationship. So if you have a toxic communication with your partner, and if you have children, how you show up in those conversations will affect your children. And I learned very late that, I would say, I learned 2 years down that journey, that the relationship that I put the family environment that I put my daughter in affected her. It's affected her. And I've been going live for a long time now. So I kind of drifted in various conversations. I want to bring it up again. When she was 4, she started to show sign that she was not in a healthy state, mental healthy state. At the age of 5, she got her own psychologist in school, in kindergarten. They didn't know what was wrong. Like she did self-sabotage. She was banging her head when she was we were also very like, okay, there's a lot of things downloading with me right now. When you're in a toxic relationship, you are a victim of the situation. That means that if you receive pushback, you push back. All right. But that is not the right way to deal with any challenge or any conversation, actually, any challenge or any conversation is to be better and bigger than the environment or bigger than your situation, right? But that is a practice. It's a rehearsal. And so when you deal with small children, they don't have the words, they don't have the language to tell how sad they actually feel. So the first thing was my daughter, she couldn't express how sad she was. So she banged her head, and I can feel it's just about, this is life, and I'm so professional, but when I talk about it, really in my heart, it hurts. It's like she was banging her head in the wall. That was her way to say, she screamed out. And she later told me, "Mommy, my heart is crying." And she told me, "Mommy, my heart is crying." And I told that to psychologists. My body's really reacting right now. I told it to psychologists. Nobody knew what that was all about. What does it mean that your daughter or your son tells you that your heart is crying? All right, so that was the first signs that, okay, my environment is really toxic. It's not healthy for my daughter. And that's what it's all about, right? And now, obviously, well, we the band family broke up, and I broke up the family, and I'm very proud to say that, because of a very conscious decision I made, and it was the best decision I ever made for myself and my daughter. And she's now healed. Like today, now we have a play date overnight, and a sleepover date, whatever we call it in English, right? She's in a much better state now. But that's why I bring it up, because that we go through this in silence, and we sit with what hurt us most. We sit with the pain in silence. And I want to break that. I want to redefine how to reach out for help. And I want to break the taboo that it's okay to talk about what is hurting you most, what is most painful, and talk with the right people so you get the right empathy and tools to move forward. And the reason why I bring this up today is that tomorrow I'm going to have Despina as joining me as a guest on the morning show. Despina is an amazing woman, and I'm proud to say a friend of mine. Despina is a author, and I would say, fortunately for us, Despina has written in a book, or explained her story of being a victim from it. The toxic environment, toxic family environment, and high conflict divorce from the eyes of a child. If you go and read the book, you will find it heartbreaking, but I hope also a very inspiring what not to do, because this is the whole point of this morning show, is to give you the right tools and help you make the right decision of what to do, so you don't repeat what you did the day before, and maybe many days before, right, in the past. Despina will bring on her story. Her book is called Mom, Dad, Can You Hear Me? And as you probably, maybe your body's reacting right now, as my body is that we don't listen to our children when we are in a divorce, when we're getting a divorce. Maybe in the co-parenting project with a relationship, we don't listen to our children, and we certainly don't listen to our children when we are stuck in an unhealthy relationship. I recall that myself. I didn't have the tools. I was learning it the hard way. I saw the consequences the hard way. I'm so proud though that I've changed it, and I talked about how much I invested in getting her um, up leveling her well-being again. But that's the listening to your children is so important, and the first way, a step to listen to your children, is to actually pause and see how you act. Are you a victim of the situation? Do you fight? Do you fight back? Do you cry? Are you those in those negative emotions that drains your energy? Or have you trained yourself, or you've rehearsed every day because you work with a coach, because you work with the right therapist that tells you, don't fall, don't play small, play smarter, play greater than the environment, right? It's a very much a psychological trick here. Become greater than the environment. You have to become greater than the environment if you want to get a better life on the other side of whatever you are in. Could be a divorce, could be the toxic relationship you're in. So that's why I'm shedding light on children, and before, during, and after divorce. They change their needs for, can you hear me, mom and dad? But you certainly also have to change your approach and how you show up if you want to give your daughters, your sons, a better life. Um, I think I know that's what I really want to bring to you today, because it's such an important topic, and it's not just a topic that is dealt with in 15 minutes. Um, but I just really, really wanted to give you this teaser, and look forward to the conversation I'm gonna have tomorrow with Despina. We will be live, as we're going live today, on the LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So keep following me. I'm so happy to be with you and support you wherever you are. And thank you so much for tuning in into today's episode. If you found this valuable, take a moment to drop a comment as well as a screenshot, and share this episode with your dear friends and family who are going through a major life transformation, and who may just find some comfort or inspiration in what I just shared. And remember, happiness is real. It is real. Wherever you are on your divorce journey, there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and the next chapter of your life can be your best life ever, right? So, and it's my honor. Just remember that, right? Remember there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And it's about getting the right strategy, getting the right tools, and working with the right people to help you get to the other side of support, other side of divorce as fast as possible. And it's my honor to be on your journey with you and help you, support you through the process. This wraps up today's episode. Remember to tune in daily for inspirational and practical advice to help you create a more thriving, happy future on the other side of divorce. Bye for now, and have a lovely Saturday. Bye.